I'm assuming you would agree that it's never done, right?
No.
We've never arrived.
No.
The process is the arrival, right? Being
Yeah.
engaged in the process is what it's all about. It's
Yeah.
not the destination as much as it's committing to the journey, and you're going to be a traveler for the rest of your life.
You never really get to the destination.
Yeah.
The destination is the inspiration for doing the stuff. And it's interesting how the destination tends to move further away as you get closer to it.
Mhm.
Because I think as you grow, you set different destinations.
Yes.
That's the interesting piece.
Yes. I think also your vision changes. It's like you get night vision goggles all of a sudden, and there's all these options or these places in front of you that you couldn't even see before.
Well, I think that's belief. When I started this journey, I was so insecure. I had very little self-belief. I might come across as very confident today. I've just done this thousands of times. So this is kind of like my comfort zone at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But the more you believe in yourself, I think the more specific you are with your goals, the bigger shots you're willing to take, the more audacious you're willing to be, the better you are at handling the inevitable failures that come with dream chasing. I just think belief is one of those things that if you can really lean into it and work on it, there's a big unlock if you can work on self-belief and confidence and certainty. It's huge.
Yeah. If you would be so kind as to share a little bit of your backstory with our listeners so they can understand when you say where you came from, what was your catalyst that set you on this path that you decided there's got to be a better way, I'm going to find it, and I'm willing to pay the price to get there?
I was 25. And from all outside standards, I was living the dream. I had a high-paying job. My girlfriend at the time was a model. I was competing in a bodybuilding show, so I was quite literally in the best shape I will ever be in. Sports car, new apartment, great friends. I had all of the things. And I was somebody who grew up broke. I didn't know my dad, didn't go to college, wasn't very smart, and somehow had beaten the odds and all that. And I remember one day my girlfriend sat me down and she said, "I'm leaving. You're not the man that you were at the beginning of this relationship. And I feel like you're struggling enough to support yourself. Never mind, pour into my dreams." It's like, okay, how did we get here? So she left, and then work got slow. After my bodybuilding show, I was dealing with an eating disorder for sure. So it went from the highest of what seemed like highs to very low pretty quickly. I convinced myself that if I just went and made more money, that would fix all of my problems.
Right.
I think many of us have fallen into that trap.
Yeah. Especially if you grow up without it, right?
Right. And it makes sense. Logically, it's like didn't have, sad, have, happy.
Right.
So the next year, I dedicated my life essentially to just making as much money as humanly possible. Traveled a ton for work that year. So I spent 10 months living on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to the end of the year. I'd made the most money I'd ever made, but I didn't feel any different. My bank account was better, but my self-belief and my self-worth and my insecurities were all far worse. I was interviewed on a YouTube channel right around that time. After that interview, I said to one of my friends, I said, "Imagine if you could do that for a living." He said, "There's people out there that do."
Yep.
Interesting. So I went and bought the mics. I went and bought the mixer. I learned how to audio edit. I learned how to video. I learned how to do all this stuff. And I fell in love with podcasting.
Mm-hmm.
I had to continue to go to this job because, as you know, in the beginning, there's not exactly a line out the door of people saying, "Lacey, this is a great idea. How much cash do you need?"
Right. Let me give you money to talk to you.
I thought it was going to work that way. It didn't. So I had to continue going to this job, and I was homesick and I was depressed and I was anxious. And eventually I woke up in a hotel room getting ready for work one day, sitting on the edge of a hotel bed, just thinking to myself, if I was just to take my life, I would take all my problems with me. Reached out to my friend who then became my business partner, and I ended up leaving that job a few months later. Then I went full time into this podcast thing in 2018 and was very broke for the next few years trying to figure it out. And here we are, however many years later, and we're over 1 million listens and over $1 million in the business and still failing in many ways. But that's the cliff notes of how we got.